All right, we are live. All right, we're gonna introducing again. What is up, everybody? We finally got that fixed. I believe we should be live now. We are. So we have the one, the only J Mac Justin. Again, Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm great. Glad you got it working.
All right, man. Don't know what that was, but yeah. So as I was saying, why I wanted to have you on is I first became familiar with you 2 years ago. I got set up on Twitter. I was doing my best ball draft strictly on DK at the time, and I forget your exact name. I know it's like Human Cespid.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's the human Cespedes. They won't
Yeah,
let me change it, even though Ioannis is long gone and people haven't seen that movie. So now it's really it makes no sense now to most people, but that'll be my name forever apparently.
yeah. So it was that, but it was your profile picture, and then I think I saw some tweets, and I remember just reaching out, and we were talking because DK, as we know, is pretty wild. They do some wild things. We thought they maybe even change the contest mid-year, but why I really wanted to have you on is you, unlike most people, auto draft your teams. Now, I wanted to discuss what is best ball to you. Like, do you think you are live to win with just uploading rankings? Have you seen a change in expectation as the field may be getting sharper? I would assume you like a site like Underdog more, where you can set preset rankings. So you can say, hey, max quarterbacks. And yeah, let's start there before I ask some more questions and we jump into today's draft.
Yeah. So underdog is preferable to be able to set your positional rankings like that. But then on the other side of it, DraftKings, because everyone knows that underdog has a better product for basically for being sharp. Like if you're sharp, underdog is a better tool. Therefore, all the sharps play on underdog. So the field is much weaker on DraftKings. You'll see people making really bad choices, just over drafting bad players. So I think it's a little easier to win your league. But then when you get down to the playoffs, I found that my underdog ROI in the playoffs is much higher, even though I make it more often on DraftKings because my teams are constructed better to survive in the playoffs. Whereas on DraftKings, I've got like 3 or 4 quarterbacks because of the auto draft settings. So it's
Almost
like
always four, right?
totally wasting position spots there. I still finished second on DraftKings best ball 2 seasons ago, the one you were talking about.
In the high stakes, right?
In high stakes, yeah. I finished second, partly because I had Alvin Kamara and he had 6 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football. I honestly felt horrible about it because there was only 3 people in the final that had Kamara. So everyone else's final was over before it even started. Like
Was
Thursday
it
Night
a
Football,
12-person final, if I'm remembering correctly?
I want to say 15, 12 or 15, somewhere in that range. And basically everyone else was playing for fourth, maybe third if they ran good, but there's no way they're beating all 3 teams that start off with a 60 burger at running back. Like there's just no way.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
So I basically finished second out of 3 of the people that had him.
Well, that's nice. So, what is best ball to you? Like I assume that since you are a big DFS player, that like, is it like just a tax write off? Do you just think that the field is so like your rankings are so superior that you can win? Are you just a degenerate and looking for some sweats? Like
Probably some
tell
of
us what
everything, right? But I think that for the most part, it's so you kind of touched on a lot of factors. Like the tax write-off one is one a lot of people don't think about, but it does defer winnings to the following year. So, like I'm up this year, I was up last year about the time in the summer. Like last summer, I had just came in third in the golf final on DraftKings, which pays out $300,000. So at that point, my account is flush with cash and I'm looking to defer some like taxable income to the following year because best ball pays out in January. So it makes sense, even if my expected value is break even, to just fire as much as possible into best ball to move that, put some losses into the calendar year and move the gains to the following year.
Yeah, that's something I can relate to this year. Since I won BBM2 for $1,001,000, like I'm, even if I, like I think I'm a sharp drafter, I'm someone who's putting in the time, grinding all these, not autoing. Like, but even if not, like if I can just push income into a different year, and I've had to learn about this with my CPA, like That seems pretty good deal for me because it's, like any money I lose, it's kind of like I lose, 67 cents on the dollar if you're thinking about tax
Right.
brackets or whatnot. It's not
Yeah, and you're
perfect.
really only making 67 cents on the dollar
Yeah,
too. Like,
yeah.
it's not like it goes both ways. But what you don't want to do is if you're down bad on the year, then you don't want to go heavy on best ball because those losses are not, but you're taking all of those losses. Although I guess then, yeah, no, you're taking all those losses in that year, and then you don't know how the next year is going to go. So, yeah, you really don't want to be too heavy on best ball if you're down on the year.
That's for someone like you who is a
Right, for the
high.
average person, this doesn't matter at all. So
Yeah.
let's not go too far into that. But
So,
if
so
this is relevant to you, like my handle's right there. You can DM me
yeah,
on
yeah,
Twitter. We
yeah.
can talk more about this. But I think most people don't care. So it's in some ways, best ball is like a lottery ticket, right? Like it's a fun, like you said, like, are you just a degenerate? Like it's fun. Like it's a good game to play. You just kind of ignore it during the season if you max enter like I do, or you just follow your exposures. Like Underdog tells you like last year I had like 70% of a lot of players. So like if Zach Ertz had a big week, I'm like, that's great for like most of my
Yeah.
teams. So that part's fun, but you really just wait till the playoffs and then you start really sweating it. The year that I first max entered it 2 years ago on DraftKings, it was for two reasons. I thought there was going to be a lot of overlay. I think you remember that. Like the contests weren't going to fill. And to the point where I think your expected value was positive by joining. Like there was negative rake.
I remember. So like
So
you're talking about I think it was like the 1K buy-in at the time.
yeah,
And
they had a 1K buy-in that wasn't going to fill. Those I tried to manually draft, but the reason I had to even auto draft those is because my list of drafts was like 80 drafts, and I just couldn't find them before I got auto picked. So it just
you just
spiraled out of
you
control.
enter your whole clip at once, right?
I just fired it all at once because it was like a week before the season started. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to get enough drafts in time. And I want to max, I want to get it. I would have manually drafted them, but I just thought, I just want to get as many drafts done as possible to the point where I'm willing to take 4 quarterbacks, even though that's the wrong roster construction, just for the sake of, and that season in particular, I thought, well, this isn't going to be that bad because the fourth QB it kept giving me was Justin Herbert. And I thought he'll probably be good anyway. So I was like, it's not the worst. It's not like I'm getting Tim Tebow and I'm just like
Yeah,
completely
pretty nice fourth quarterback to land
right.
on
It
Herbert.
was like him or like, and then like last year it kept giving me like Trey Lance or like Jimmy G. And I was like, all right, these guys could be useful. Like it's not like, because most people only take like 2 QBs. So there was some leftover QBs anyway. But I did start getting some really bad ones. And that's when I realized last year, like, I don't know if auto drafting is going to work unless DraftKings is going to start changing their settings. But the
Yeah, so
auto
that's
draft
what
strategy was also because I realized that people's rankings were just so bad at that time because DraftKings had given out tons of free tickets. So
yeah.
like all these random people who didn't know anything about best ball were just suddenly given one ticket to play a best ball draft. And I was like, I
You
need to
literally could not
capitalize.
enter the contest. I remember during I would try to enter. Of course, I would be beat by the other 50,000 people trying to enter, try
Right.
the same thing, and then you would just, close the app and be like, "Okay, not
Yeah.
getting any of these in, like, what the fuck are they doing?" I was
Yeah, it was
pissed
like it
because,
was so hard. So I was just mashing join, and then I'd get in one, and then I would just keep trying to join again to the next one, and I just let them all run on their own. And then I was looking at my teams afterwards, and I was like, these teams are great. Like I'm getting tons of guys way below where I have them ranked, which means people are just drafting like terribly. So I figured, how bad could it be to just auto draft all of them? So I just started firing in the $300 too and just auto drafting those. And I was looking at my teams and I was like, other than the fourth quarterback, this is a good team. Like I
yeah.
don't need it to be correlated with the stack. A lot of times you accidentally end up with some correlation. Like I think people
So that's what I wanted to ask you because, I had some speculation. Having heard you right now, I know the answer, but, I was gonna ask you because I know some people have auto drafted in the past, some smaller buy-ins, and they'll do, 10, 20 at a time, see how it's going and adjust. Personally, I think it's really, I think advancing whatever, but it's really hard to win the contest going forward, especially, I mean, look, winning the large field GPPs is always hard to win, but it's going to be really hard to win as the field gets sharper, as sites start putting out content, and especially if you're not getting stacks. Now, if I was auto drafting, I know some things I would do to force some stacks to my rankings. It doesn't sound like you were doing that. Like, for
So
example, like I think if you bumped up like Josh Allen and Diggs, you could just say, hey, I'm going to get 150 of those teams.
right.
Like, how bad is that? You know,
So
like, or
sometimes what you can do, and like what I would do is like I'll edit my rankings, join 25 drafts, and then change it. So I'm like, these 25 are going to be my Allen, Diggs, and Beasley teams. Rip Beasley. But I was like, those
there's
are
some
going to
news
be the
about him
teams
today. He's
that,
looking to sign.
is he? Okay. I don't know. I'm not loyal to him at all. I don't want to come off like a
Yeah,
Beasley fan.
rough
I just,
brand association.
yeah, I don't want to be associated with him anyway. But that was just like, that was a stack I was using. But then like I don't want 150. I don't want all my teams that way. So then I'll adjust them back down. But the main thing that I was doing is just ranking all the good naked QBs a lot higher.
Yeah.
So
Like the
most of my
rushing ones too
teams,
make sense. Like just like doing like this year, if you just ranked Hurts, Lamar, Trey, and like,
right.
okay, look, I'm giving up a 4th round pick or whatever compared to the field, but I know I'm getting one of these guys. Rank
So
the other quarterbacks really low, so
yeah, I
I'm
think
unlikely to get
I
4 quarterbacks.
legitimately had like last year and the year before, I legitimately had Hurts like 2 rounds higher than everybody else anyway. And then I had Jackson like half a round higher. Dak Prescott, who I actually think is a good naked quarterback play. That people will debate me to the end of the earth on that, but I played Dak naked in the NFL final in Miami to try to win $2 million. And
Not my
his
favorite, but you know the path is there. Like he's a
his
I
first two
won,
his first
I
two
won.
touchdowns
Yeah,
was like a 60-yard pass to like Tavon Austin and then like a 1-yard pass to Jason Witten or some or third string white tight end, whoever.
people
Like,
weren't stacking him with, so it worked a
yeah,
little
you
bit.
would never like the other people that had Dak in the contest had like Cooper and or Gallup, both of who had like 0 points, and Dak was at like 16. And then Elliott took 2 1-yard rushing touchdowns, and Dak got tackled at the one. And I was like telling people, I was like, Dak, this easily could have been Dak 2 rushing touchdowns or another backup tight end, and then Tavon Austin 50-yarder, and then like Dalton Schultz and Cooper Gallup get nothing.
That's how I won. I mean, I had Josh Allen to Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley gave me a 0, and Josh Allen put 2 in on the ground against the Falcons.
People,
And
yeah, people think that like you have to stack, and then they just ignore the times where like that happens, where like you won with Allen Beasley, but Beasley was actually terrible. Anybody else would have been better. So the naked QB is actually an underappreciated strategy if your QB can run, because it really only takes 1 rushing touchdown from the quarterback to like completely change the whole like your vision of what they need to do to win. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain to somebody, and I don't want to
last
get too
question
far
before we
into
jump into
anti-stacking, but
yeah, we're not
um,
anti-stacking, but there's paths. Last question before we jump in the draft. How do you go about making your rankings? Are you someone who's got some like beat reporters you're grinding? Or is it
yeah.
kind of just
So
like
my company actually does a really good job with it. So we
shout
have
them
like
out?
a 10-person team that works on our NFL offseason rankings, and they keep them updated. So I really just use the DFI app that has best ball rankings, and I pretty much just copy and put those in. But the only thing that I do tweak if you're going to auto draft is you want to tweak like, what is your shirt? Now I gotta see.
It says I used to work for chess.com, and so it says it was like their company meetup shirt. Show the people your shirt.
That's
If
a
we're gonna
pretty
show
that's a
if we're
pretty
gonna show
sick shirt.
fire shirt, show the people your shirt today, Justin. We got the legalized marinara. Fan of that shirt, fire shirt. Drop the fire emoji in the chat. Guys, if you're liking this content, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Let's let Justin finish up about his team making his rankings, and then we will jump into today's BBM3 draft together.
Oh yeah. So I was gonna say, if you do use somebody's rankings, like if you use DFI, like we'll rank the players where we genuinely like them. But you don't want to set your auto draft rankings to match that to a T. Like
Yeah.
last year, we had Jalen Hurts about 2 rounds ahead of his ADP, which by the end of the season, that was too low still. But you don't want him 2 rounds ahead of ADP in your auto draft, or you're going to get 100% Jalen Hurts. So I had to like scale him back to only be like 10 spots ahead of ADP. So I actually took him down like 15 spots from the DFI rankings so that I wouldn't get him on every team. And I think I ended up with 70% Hurts. But you just
And it's
there's no
not
reason to be.
even it's not even the like 100%, but it's also like for us who draft manually, like if I believe a player's mispriced by several rounds, I'm not going to take them in the round I think they're priced in because the field is not doing that. So I want to try to build a super team to win the fudge for the
Exactly.
BDPs.
If you're only doing like one draft, then follow the rankings to a T and get your guys, right? But if you're gonna do
Get 'em.
15 drafts, 20 drafts, like anything more than 10 probably, then you should drop the guys closer to their ADP and start taking guys 8 to 10 spots ahead of ADP and no more than that because you just don't need to, like you said, and then you can build like a super stacked team by doing that.
All right, guys, we jumped in it. Phil just first ever draft. We got the 107. Is this your first draft of the offseason? I was joking about your first ever manual draft. I'm sure you've done one.
Yeah, it's my first draft of this offseason. Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see how this goes. It's been on my to-do list for the last week to go ahead and knock one out. So when you asked me if I wanted to come on this, I was like, perfect. Now I can get my first draft of the season underway. I usually wait until like a week or two before the season because I think that's when all the fish come out to draft. And I also hate having dead roster spots. Like I would rather miss out on like Tyreek Hill 8th round value like last year. You know how you could take Hill in the 8th round in the summer?
That was like 2 years or 3 years ago.
Yeah, when his like off-season stuff, his off the field stuff was potentially going to keep him out. Or like the Justin Jeffersons, like, but the thing is, people are like all proud of themselves, like, oh, I got Justin Jefferson in like the 17th round, and he wasn't even getting drafted in most leagues that I was in. And it's like, yeah, but by the time the season started, everyone's picking him in the 10th round. Like, you're not getting that much edge. Like the difference between like a 10th round pick and a 17th round pick is like almost negligible, like in my opinion.
I would say I don't fully agree with all of that because I do think building the super teams, like I think there's a the bull case for drafting late you're drafting with fish, right? The bull case for drafting early is the unique player contextures, whereas like a lot of the players, like this closing line value, a lot of the players today, as a good drafter, I've gotten at much cheaper costs.
Right.
I like Diggs in this range. Is there anyone else you are needing to
I
get?
like Diggs there.
All right, let's take Diggs.
Yeah, I've got him. We have him a little bit lower. We're a little lower on him. We're a little higher on Adams, a little lower on Diggs, but I don't dislike it.
Let's talk about that because Adams is someone who I've been a little bit down on this season because I feel like he's being priced like he's still with the Packers, and he's not. He has more target competition. He's no longer got the Rodgers connection. They had a bunch of, like very unique 1-yard touchdowns to him.
Right. I think Hunter Renfrow is the biggest like loser. Like I think Adams fills the Hunter Renfrow role in that offense. Like I think that all those little plays where it's like at the goal line, how Renfrow is getting them all, I just see Adams getting those now.
That makes, and I want to have pieces of the Raiders passing game because, the yards were there for Derek Carr last year. He just didn't get the touchdowns. We should expect that to improve with Devontae Adams. But it's, it's hard. Like, and he's going into his 30-year-old season. He's getting a little bit older. How about draft strategies? I mean, obviously, as an auto drafter, you take what you get, but do you have a lean for zero running back, robust running back, any of that?
I am more of like the best guy available type of drafter. I'll usually go in and like manually draft, mess around, do some of those, like I'm like, all right, I'm going like insanely fragile. Like, I'm going like 2 QBs, 4 running backs, and like 10 wide receivers, something outrageous. But those teams don't usually
Is
do
this
the
true?
best.
Has Chris Godwin been cleared for practice? Is that breaking news? All right, how about here? We're on the clock. Let's have you make a pick. Saquon, Debo, Mark Andrews. I like one of these 3 guys.
Yeah, I like those guys. Let me see what I've got ranked highest. I have Debo the highest there.
All right, love it. I'm a big fan of Debo. People are, like compare like after I think he was the most important the most important offensive weapon in the NFL last year in terms of fantasy. He was like number 2 to Cup, you could say. People are a little bit down on him. I think with because people also like Kittle, they also like Ayuk, and then they're a little bit worried about Lance vulturing the touchdowns. But
Right.
I just want to be betting on a freak like Debo, and he
I
wins
was
with
gonna
power.
say, Debo's kind of just like a bet on talent guy where you're just like, he's so good at everything they've ever asked him to do that I just can't imagine that he busts as a second round pick here. Like, he may not like completely break the season wide open, but I feel safer taking him than Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike is tough with Gronk retiring and Godwin potentially not. All right, let's see. We're getting some news in the chat. Per Bucks, Rick Stroud, Chris Godwin has been cleared to be in training camp despite absolute freak of nature if that's true. Chris Godwin has been following something to definitely follow there. Really hurts Mike Evans if from being like a guy, and hurts Russell Gage. I got a
Yeah,
ton of Godwin.
Gage's ADP has been flying, so now that's a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I had a ton of Gage and I still think I had a ton of Gage when he was a 9th round pick. Um, I've not been chasing the 6th round pick too much just because I have the earlier teams. But, we saw Antonio Brown, Evans, Godwin, and Gronk all do it last year with Brady. So definitely something I'll need to look into after that. And that's right, guys. We timed this show for breaking news. I got a ton of Diggs Debo starts. I think Diggs is drawing live to be the wide receiver 1. Early camp reports have been like he's been even better than usual. It just he didn't really have like the DFS 30-point week, so I think that's why people were a little bit
Yeah,
iffy
Allen
about
really
it.
spreads it around. I mean, that offense, they scored so many points for Diggs to like have not been the wide receiver 1 that I think people are just concerned there's like nowhere for him to go. But I think that it could funnel more towards him. I thought his expected fantasy points often were higher than his actual, which is surprising for someone as
Are
talented
you
as
cool
him.
with taking Josh Allen, or would you like Javante?
I'm good with Josh Allen.
Let's do Josh. Get the
Pair him
stack.
with Diggs. I mean, he's the second high best ADP here. So
And earlier in the season, Josh Allen was a 2nd round pick. But with us having Josh, like I really want to wait on our second quarterback, unless we get like a falling Trey Lance, etc., to go with Debo. I think
yeah,
double elite quarterback is much better for these playoff format sites. How about a site like Drafters? Have you been up and running there? I
I
could see
have
auto
not.
drafting
I've
being
I've been focusing on Underdog and DraftKings the last couple seasons, but I've been hearing mumblings about drafters. I saw somebody say it in the chat. Sell me on drafters? Like, why
promo
should I?
code Chesley and get yourself set up there. So drafters is cumulative points, weeks 1 through 17, no playoffs. It's in the past years, it's only been like 10K to first, 25K to first. So I didn't fire there. This year it's 250K to first. Looking currently like it's going to overlay unless a bunch of people start tweeting out about it. But PPR scoring, cumulative points. You can set positional limits too. So I could see drafters being the best for auto drafting, just because like an unstacked quarterback is obviously better on a site like Drafters
Where
than
the playoffs don't matter.
than Underdog. Like,
Yeah,
you could have naked Matt Stafford and you're doing fine.
that makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, I should look into. I might as well max that.
Especially if it's like right now it's at like a 10% fill rate out of 55,000 people. A little bit over that, maybe 14%. But love this start. These are some brand dudes for me. Like some people are ranking Debo as their like wide receiver 25, and I'm like, give me a break with that,
Yeah, I've seen him ranked pretty low. I still haven't made like a definitive decision on him, but it's good to know that you like him because you're on top of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, hey man, I'm the first to admit, like, just because I won BBM2, it does not make me the best ball player in the world, but I do think I do some sharp things. And yeah, we got the hive mind here. Two brains are better than one. We're coming up. I'm letting you see the players because I know this is your first draft.
All right.
Gabriel Davis, obviously we can finish up our Bill stack. I'm a big Davis guy. I had
Yeah, we
60%
could.
last.
That's definitely tempting. His ADP has risen a whole lot, but
It has, but not that much. And we can
yeah.
get fallers. I also like Darren Waller. And it correlates with Debo Samuel because they play each other week 17. We could grab one of these dusty
Oh,
running backs.
that's a good thought.
Who do you prefer between Davis Waller or
Let's go Waller. Let's run that playoff stack. Assume we're gonna get there.
all right, I'm cool with that. That correlates for week 17. It gives us an elite tight end. How do you feel about the week 17 game stacks? With
Yeah, it's probably a thin play, but I think that when you get there and to week 17, you'll be glad that you did it.
Let's talk about this through a DFS lens. If you had one big live final, a big buy, one lineup for the week, are you forcing a game stack? Now it's a little bit different because it's salary versus draft round, but it's a rough proxy.
Right.
Or are you sometimes not forcing those game stack bringbacks type back and forth?
Yeah, I would.
Wow, Julio Jones to the Bucks. Breaking news continued. Oh my
Wow.
God.
We scheduled this at quite a time.
Hey, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Julio to the Bucks. We'll talk about that after. Let's finish up with the
All
game
right.
stack question.
Let's just avoid all Bucks for this purpose of this draft.
Or maybe we're the only ones hip to the Julio news. Although I know some of these people are listening to our stream.
I'm not sure that I would even necessarily want who. I mean, maybe at the end of the draft, but if he's still there. But someone's going to take him in like the 7th round here. Whenever news breaks during a
He
draft,
usually is like a 16th, 17th round guy. So if he's still in that range, seems like maybe he's just an early season guy. But anyways, how do you feel like in the answering that DFS question in the game stack, the bring back option? What's your thoughts on that?
I think of all players on DraftKings, I probably force correlation less than anybody. Like I'm probably one of the most anti-correlated players that doesn't suck. Like I think most people like when you look like you might like there might be some uncorrelated lineups that win, but the players like not to like disparage a winning lineup because like everyone hates when someone like talks down on winning lineups, but like sometimes you look at it and you're like, that team just sucks. Like they don't know what they're doing. They just ran good. But like, I don't know of very many sharp players that win like historically, but they also anti-correlate on purpose.
Yeah, it's I've talked about this before where it's like, I want to be doing things that other sharp people are not doing. And in fact, actually the fish are doing because I can do the fish strategy sharply where it's like,
right.
I really like getting Kittle here being done at tight end.
Let's just finish tight end.
Yeah, we got 2 elites. Correlates really, getting Trey Lance would be nice.
If we can get Trey Lance, we could be done at QB also.
Yeah, with Allen, like we're done with Trey Lance. We're done with Jared Goff though. Like I'm never taking 3 quarterbacks with Allen for 18 slots.
No, I did all my underdog drafts with 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, that makes sense. And my winning team had 2 last year. I had a 4 quarterback team last year that I chose to draft 4 quarterbacks that got 5th in the puppy for like 5K. But my quarterbacks were rounds 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And, like the draft landscape's different each year, etc.
I find lately that 2 good quarterbacks are going to outscore 4 bad ones like 80% of the weeks.
Oh, yeah. No question.
There's really like the bad ones are going to give you like maybe 1 good week. Like I was looking at DraftKings last season, and last season was exceptionally bad for the late quarterbacks. But I was looking at like my QB3s and QB4s, and a lot of them contributed literally 0 points to my team. Their score was never once used.
I've done some research on that too, and it's no question to me. I agree with what you're saying as far as most points over the season. However, for the playoff formats where you just need a rogue like a 25-point game, 30-point game, having 4 shots on goal, if it includes like Big Ben, Zach Will, there was.
I just found you would think so, but I found that like guys like Wilson and Ben like only exceeded 20 points like 3 times all year.
Yeah, no, I looked at it. The best 2 quarterbacks to if you were not going elite quarterback, the best strategy was taking Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson. Now, Mac and Zach gave you no points in like it was all Kirk Cousins, and then you just chose Mac and Zach because they they alternated like 20-point weeks in the playoffs where you're still getting buried by Joe Burrow. You're still
Right. I
getting
was gonna say it's still like you could have just taken just Allen and then just had one QB
but
all
it's too
year.
simple. Like we can't just say the quarterbacks and ignore that these other teams are having skill position players where we're taking our quarterbacks.
For sure, yeah. I
Like
just think like I could get a lot more out of like my late round receivers. Like last year or 2 years ago, I was like drafting a lot of Jefferson. Last year, I was taking a lot of KJ Osborne. Like I feel like there's a lot of really good. Like 2 years ago when I came in second, it was because I was taking Logan Thomas in the last round of every draft.
I think it's also hard to compare like a 1,000-person field to a 455,000 field that we're drafting right now, where it's like it's a totally different mindset for these.
That's a good point. Yeah, you want to be like really extremely unique if possible.
Yeah, and I think getting double tight end helps. Anyone you're liking here? We could go Elijah Mitchell. We could go Dylan. We could add to our 49ers. Elijah Moore, people like a lot.
Let me see who I have high. I have Elijah Mitchell pretty high.
You got Mitchell pretty high?
That's another San Francisco guy. I don't know if you want to do that.
All right, we got 5 seconds, so make a choice. If not,
take Elijah Moore. We'll figure out running back.
Oh, I got it at 0. Woo!
Nice.
All right. Yeah. Mitchell, Mitchell is someone I want to like, and I think I like him more on a site like Drafters where the playoff formats don't matter because he's kind of like the ultimate boom bust guy, but at running back, right? So like if he's a guy who's going to be getting these 80-yard touchdowns or doing nothing, like that's a nice piece to have to a best ball roster. However, like Tyrion Davis-Price, they drafted pretty high. I like him quite a bit. Mitchell doesn't really have the body type to hold up over the whole season. We did already take 2 49ers.
Right.
So as far as like super stacking teams, I think it's fine for season-long reasons and like advancing throughout the playoffs. Obviously, in a single individual week, it lowers your ceiling a little bit, though.
But I do actually think that there's some like I remember last year I ran the Mitchell Debo stack quite a few times in showdowns without the QB. And so I went Debo captain with Mitchell and no 49ers quarterback. And it was the best scenario you could possibly do that because Debo ran touchdowns in like every single week.
Yeah, that's a bit unique for many reasons.
Right.
You're talking about showdown. You're talking about getting unique in like a.
But even in this scenario, like Debo could have like 100 receiving yards. Mitchell could have 100 rushing yards. Both could run a touchdown in. Debo could even catch one. Kittle could catch one. And Lance is still only going to have like 16 points. So you could run all three of those guys in a stack here and not have Lance, and it would actually be it could.
Lance is gone. So, but we don't care. Like we're not stressed about that. The quarterback is the least important part of the stack, in my opinion.
Agreed. Because
we have Josh Allen.
People think that you really need the quarterback, but Allen is going to beat the quarterback almost every week regardless.
Yes.
So it doesn't even matter. Like their score isn't going to be used, so it doesn't matter if they have 20 or 10.
And I think it's a big mistake where it's like Higgins and Higgins and Chase plus take whatever late round quarterback, is going to beat out a stacked Mayfield to DJ Moore most weeks, right? Like forcing the stack with like quarterbacks that are not that good, it's not that important to me.
Agreed.
I find it impressive that you're aware of the fallers and risers for someone that's not been in these best ball streets.
What was that?
I said, real quick, let's make our pick here.
Oh, Gibson. I would go Gibson here for sure.
I like it. We're getting a falling Gibson. So with us taking a riser in, actually, no one's really risen on our team. All of our players are fallers, but I like Gibson. I think it's gone a little too far on him, and
we have him ranked 51st overall.
Wow.
So this is that's a lot of value you just got it. What pick was that?
79. That's his ADP now, though.
Spots of value for us.
I mean, him as your first running back when he was a second round pick last year feels really nice in the 7th round. Obviously, why people are a little down on him is he's getting squeezed from both sides where McKissick's still there and Brian Robinson might get some early goal line work.
Right.
And so that's why there's like people are talking about Brian Robinson being the Thunder and Lightning, and it just seems like
I get it, but like Gibson is
he's
outrageously good.
talented, right? Like we just want to bet on talent.
Yeah. This this
And
this team is definitely a bet on talent team.
yeah, and I mean, I love it. We're done at tight end. We got 2 elites. We got 3 elite wide receivers. We got the quarterback 1. And to go like this is like a 0 running back team, but to have Gibson as your anchor and 0 running back feels pretty nice.
Yeah, I think people worry too much about when a rookie running back gets drafted to a backfield. And it's like Gibson was a really good running back last year with McKissick doing a lot, really.
Yeah.
Like McKissick, you couldn't really expect him to do any more than he did last year.
And Wentz is not going to be good for McKissick. Like he's like look at Hines last year. Wentz is bad for McKissick.
Right. Wentz is definitely not as big of a wimp as, like Alex Smith is the king of the check down. And then they bring in kind of a rotation.
And Wentz is just not that accurate, like he doesn't hit these checkdowns.
Yeah,
like,
Wentz isn't perfectly floating these balls over the D line to McKissick. And Gibson also, like, I think that they'll use him more in passing.
That's the hope because he played wide out in college. But yeah,
he looked good as a receiver.
Wentz offense produced Jonathan Taylor. Now that's not because of Wentz necessarily, but it could be part of it. The coaches don't want him to be throwing all over the field. And I think Washington is a dark horse playoff team. The NFC's not that good.
Yeah, I think they can definitely win some games, and Gibson can put up good numbers. I think people worry too much about like a Brian Robinson taking all the work.
We are on the clock.
Okay.
Do you like Lazard or Olave? I think we could also reach for James Cook and correlate it with Josh Allen. Anyone else you like?
I don't love Lazard. I actually like CEH quite a bit. If we want to grab
all right, let's grab CEH. I have not that many of him.
I have him ranked 77.
Okay, well, so nice little. I mean, look, he's in the 90s now. It's getting cheap. He's obviously part of the Chiefs offense. Why I don't have a ton of him is I think Rojo is just like a good pure runner. I think McKinnon was really good in the playoffs last week, like a better pass catcher. There's been some weird news about CEH and like having like gallbladder or something and losing a bunch of weight.
Yeah,
if that's
people are
like
definitely down on him relative to where he was just a couple years ago. But
I mean, he was a first round pick 2 years ago. Like
I know. But I feel like third year running backs, they can often find something, and getting any chance at all, even if it's not from talent, even if just injuries allow him to take over. If he could have half of the Kansas City backfield, that would be worth quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we should expect Kansas City to maybe be a little bit more run heavy with no longer having Tyreek Hill. Not a lot, but
well, hopefully they run a few more actual runs instead of the BS check passes to Hill.
Yeah.
I hate those. How do you feel about that? I know we're on the clock soon, but how do you feel about those, counting those as receptions?
Hey, I love those, man. You just gotta get the guys that get them, like.
Well, it's obvious who gets them, but
and the quarterbacks who do them.
As a pure stats, person, come at this from a statistical perspective, not from like trying to play an edge. That is the dumbest thing ever.
Let's give you the full screen to go on your soapbox right now.
Okay, if the pass is made within the pocket, it should not be a pass. It should just be a run, just like a halfback toss. Just because the direction is slightly backwards instead of slightly forwards, it shouldn't make any difference at all. If the pass is happening within like a second of the play beginning, within the pocket, that should not be a reception. That should just be considered a handoff, a glorified handoff. And they're only doing it to circumnavigate the fumble rule, where that exchange isn't made cleanly. It's a fumble, but now with the little that thing, now it counts as a drop and it doesn't cost them the fumble.
You guys heard him. Tweet at the NFL. Let them know. J-Mac Army.
I have submitted my complaints to the NFL about this, and they are not changing the rules.
They're not even getting back to you.
No, they're not even getting back to me.
All right. Well, I like our team so far. Pretty balanced. 2 elite tight ends. Like, how do you like Waller and Kittle versus like Pitts?
I like them both. Let me see where I've got them all ranked.
Yeah,
Let's
because
see.
I'd
I
like to.
think I
I'm
have
curious.
Pitts. I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm pretty sure I have Pitts higher.
Well, Pitts is
I have
higher in the market. Pitts is a third.
right. I
We're on the
have
clock
Pitts at
here.
like 28, and I have these guys in the mid 40s.
Are you cool
Um,
with taking James Cook? To
yeah, is
go
he
with.
still there?
Yeah, he's there. We could also like we're getting this room is going really heavy on wide receivers, so we might get locked
They
out.
are. Yeah, I have Hunt at like 84. That's pretty high.
Fuck it. We're gonna take Cook. We're making one brand pick, and
All
then
right, yeah, do it.
my prediction for this room is they're all going pretty wide receiver heavy. So these guys like Edmonds, Hunt, we're gonna like they're gonna be here. So
Okay.
we might want to start hitting wide receiver just if the room is punting running back. And yeah, I mean that gives us another piece of stack with Josh Allen. Cook has been getting a lot of buzz in camp. Obviously, he's a guy who's going to excel without pads on. So we'll see if that continues.
He
And
got Garrett Wilson at 96 if he gets to us.
Justin, don't be an amateur streamer here. Never say the players you like before we're on the clock. There is a private chat button, but I like him as well if he makes it to us. And it sets a late stack option for us. But you gotta plant some false flags so that people don't stream snipe. So pretend that you're stamping the ground for Rodgers. Oh, and Wilson goes wah wah.
I blew it. That's on me, everybody. That's my bad. I'll take that one.
Hey, they're not rooting for us, man. They're not rooting for us. I guarantee you, if they're drafting with us, they're trying to scoop up that streamer EV. So yeah, really fun team we've built with the room going heavy at wide receiver. It's pretty nice that we started with two wideouts here.
Yeah, I know we're pretty, and I like Elijah Moore quite a bit, so I think we're pretty well balanced. Can you click on the available wide receivers so I can start preparing to myself?
I know who I like out of this group. It gets ugly pretty quick though if we don't hit it here. The running backs are still kind of nice. But you know, we kind of need them with us not having, like, we're not going to have a 300-point running back. Obviously, not many will, but you know, if Diggs and Samuel are whatever 250-point type wide receivers, that's pretty nice. Plus, we're hoping to lap the field at tight end. But yeah, let's talk about like how do you I like Watson a lot. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm good with Watson. That would be my suggestion.
Perfect. A boom bust guy at worst on connected to Aaron Rodgers. Probably better than MBS, was a second round pick.
I was gonna say, nobody's ever gone wrong taking Green Bay wide receiver threes.
Hey man, MBS has been great for best ball, especially last year.
Actually, I had a ton of MBS, and despite his mediocre overall season, he actually contributed heavily to my teams.
Yeah, I mean, especially because he gave us he actually had a bad season, kind of. I mean, there were some injuries there, but he had a great week 15 of the playoffs. So I advanced a shitload of team to the semifinals because of him.
And he was low owned too. I know. I got a lot of teams advanced because of his monster game.
Yeah. So really like adding Watson to this team. Show you the wide receivers here. But yeah, how does your ranking team deal with players on quote unquote bad offenses like the Falcons and maybe the Jets and the Seahawks? You know, like I wasn't taking DK Metcalf when he was like a third, fourth round pick, even though I like the talent. Now he's corrected, in my opinion, to the fifth. Tyler Lockett is all the way down to the eighth.
Yeah, we definitely factor in their expected opportunities pretty heavily. So the guys on bad offenses are certainly getting docked from their projections. So I can tell you where we have those guys ranked. Let's see. We have Metcalf 45th overall.
Okay, so above market right now.
And we have Lockett 85th overall.
80. So you guys are down. You're pretty in line with market there. He went 93.
Yeah, we're a little. I guess we're a little high on them then.
Well, they could get Jimmy G. You know, like that would be
right. There's certainly opportunities. I guess like I question a little bit like how important Wilson is because
we're on the clock. So let's pause that thought. Or we're on the clock in one pick. Do you want to grab like Madison
I do like taking Madison because he gives your team a lot of upside if it goes right.
or do you want to grab one of these wide receivers? Or do you view them all similarly and we just take Madison and then see who makes it back to us?
Let's see who makes it back to us. Just take Madison.
All right. How about Jameson Williams? How is your team dealing with him and the him maybe not starting until like I want to close my eyes and just bet on talent. And honestly, I don't
Yeah.
care if he gives me zeros for
I was
weeks
going to say, I think
1 through
that's the
9.
biggest misunderstanding people have about best ball is that your team will never be healthier and will never have more scores total put up than in the first couple weeks because there's no bye weeks and everyone that you picked is healthy pretty much. So I am always super in favor of taking guys that aren't even starting, or I got burned last year. I had like 60% Michael Thomas in like the 9th round and then he never came back. But
I was out last year. I'm in this year.
well, so I really thought that, like, you take guys who are suspended the first 4 to 8 weeks, and I still stand behind it. It's not my fault that Michael, you know what? I knew I was
You
screwed
can't
on Michael
predict, I think,
Thomas.
what happened to Michael Thomas, but like using this year, Godwin, Hopkins, like I'm in on those guys.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny because I knew I was screwed on Michael Thomas as soon as I was at a club in Vegas for a
Uh-oh.
bachelor party, and I ran
Okay.
into him, and I was immediately just like, "Fuck!" Like
What part of the season was this?
it was like a week before the season started.
Like, was his
And
leg just not looking good, or was it just the fact that he's partying in Vegas?
it was like 3 a.m. and he was like on a table, and I was just like, this is terrible for me. Like I was like, I was I just like saw him and I was like, I showed my friend my underdog screen and it was like 14,000 entry fees worth of Michael Thomas. And I was like, that
Let's
man
come
right
back to
there
that.
is gonna lose me $14,000.
Let's grab a wideout here. What do you guys like? I like Osborne plenty.
I always like Osborne. I was really high on him last year. I think I probably still have Crowder higher.
The news has been negative to start.
I know, but I believe in Crowder as a talent. He does fit our stack too, so maybe you just grab him here.
Crowder?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think it's a bad pick only because I think if we wait 2 weeks, he's going to be
cheaper.
You're going to get him in like the 16th round.
Yeah.
And my take on the Bills this whole season, I think I'm above the crowd here, or I'm above the steam, is that the Bills are going to run more 2 tight end this year. And what that does is it takes the slot off the field with them having OJ Howard. Plus, Crowder is competing with McKenzie, who is, in my opinion, flat out good, and Khalil Shakir, who is a rookie in the team who's making a lot of plays.
True. But if I had $1 for every time we thought OJ Howard was going to make an impact in an offense, I would have like $4.
It's not about OJ Howard producing stats. OJ Howard ideally is the blocking tight end, but
True.
it just
takes him off the field.
Just takes him off the field, and you flex James Cook into the slot. Like what does have like Cook and Crowder are also kind of competitors. Vikings and Green Bay play also, so wouldn't it's a tie break to add Osborne for that week 17 reasons.
What makes you think that they're going to go to two tight end much more often?
I think the signing of OJ Howard is part, and I think like if I had to think of the best quarterback in the NFL to run 2 tight end, it probably is Josh Allen. Plus them having James Cook, like Josh Allen can be the short yardage power back. You flex James Cook into the slot late. You got Diggs, Davis, and Knox running routes. And I think the Bills were mad they couldn't run the ball as effectively last year against 2 high zone, and 2 tight end should help. And they're even talking about it now. I like DJ Chark. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like him. Man, people forget about DJ Chark.
Dude, DJ Chark is a flat out good at football. I just think he is in one of the worst landing spots.
Terrible spot, but
like literally the worst quarterback to be with him. But close our eyes, bet on talent.
Yeah, someone's got to be good there.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we didn't get Jameson Williams, so we got DJ Chark instead. We're betting against
Williams. Last year, we the night that we arrived to our company retreat, We usually start our company retreats on like a Thursday afternoon and end them on like Monday morning so that we can get Thursday night football in there as
Very
part of
nice.
the weekend. So I arrive like a little late. I get there like halfway through the first quarter, and I'd gone big on Thursday night football. And I like walk in, and they're like, DJ Chark just he's done. He's
He
done.
just broke
He was
his
the captain, and I had him like I was the only person in the Thunderdome. Anyone in high stakes, I was like the only person that had Chark as my captain. And I just immediately like I get to the retreat, I come with my suitcase, and they're like, "Your captain's dead." I'm like,
I still stand that DJ Chark would have had a great last year if he was healthy. If you
I
look at
thought
his
so
box
too.
scores, he gave you two usable weeks in the first 3 weeks before he got hurt.
He was gonna smash that night too. I just know it.
Yeah, he like, and you know how bad LaVisca was kind of shows that like they didn't have the pieces to do it without Chark. It's just, man, Jared Goff's deep threat is not something you're pumping your fist about. Brandon Cooks had a decent year with him though, you know, like, and the Lions should be better.
I think Goff can do it. Like,
And it sets up some like we're leaving ourselves open for some cheap stacks with Wilson and
whatever we lose with Goff's inadequacy, we might get back in the fourth quarter garbage time.
I mean, and they have a flat out good offense, really good line, really good skill position players, and they have a bad defense, which you prefer. You know, like
it's the perfect if Goff can just play like a decent quarterback. Like, I don't think Goff is that much worse than Kirk Cousins. Do you? Like, he's worse.
I
But like,
think Kirk
is he
Cousins
that
is
much
pretty
worse?
good. I think he just gets disrespect. Okay, we're on the clock here.
What do we need?
We need a second quarterback. I think we wait. How many running backs do you want? Do you want to grab Corey Davis, another Jet? I kind of like that option.
Let's see.
Some other wide
Oh
receivers.
yeah, we've got Corey Davis pretty high. Let's grab Corey Davis.
All right, let's grab Davis. Adding another Jet for us to grab Zach Wilson next round if we want. Should make it back to us unless someone feels like grabbing him. And, you know, like, I want to study out there on, like, interdivision stacks. Talking about the game stacks, you get 8 games correlated minimum unless they
If
play.
you just fired the entire NFC East just like all in, and then they just play each other and have a lot of high-scoring shootouts. Yes.
Yeah, I do that on a lot of drafters teams, like where I have like 17 of my players in the same division. It's pretty nice.
Hey, is Pickens still there? Did someone take him?
Pickens was on the clock. He's still out there.
If he's out there, I say we get Pickens next. Oh, unbelievable.
Dude, and I hope that was a false flag. Otherwise, you're a slow learner because you name a player, they will be drafted on stream. I promise you that.
I was a trap. Yeah, he's hurt. Breaking news, he's done.
J-Max trap card. Chestnut checkers on this channel. Chestnut checkers. Curtis Samuel is a guy I like a lot. I'm curious what your rankings are on him.
See what we have him. We don't even have him ranked. We have 175 players ranked, and he's not one of them.
Ouch. Man, he had like 170 points 2 years ago.
I know. I'm kind of surprised by that. Maybe he's just off the edge of the board. We have Zach Wilson at 157. I don't mind if I guess we already said it, so this is not my fault if he goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if people are going to just spite take a naked quarterback, God bless them. They can
we have all the weapons, so it'd be pretty ridiculous.
This room's pretty sharp, I would say. So people are not going to just torpedo their own team to see a stream reaction.
Right.
How about Will Fuller? Do you guys have him ranked?
We should. We were actually we had like a team meeting this morning about Will Fuller.
Dude, everyone's like,
yeah. I don't think we've officially decided where to put him, so he's not in the ranking right now, but I'm pretty sure he's going in there.
Are you cool with grabbing Wilson here and being done at quarterback?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Pretty nice there. We don't really need to add any Seahawks to correlate. I would say, looking at our team so far, it's a 2-4-7-2. We have 3 more picks left. How are you wanting to allocate that?
I think we need at least. I think we definitely need another running back.
I would say, yeah, we could even go 2 more running backs. We either going 2 more running backs and 1 wide receiver, or run running back and 2 wide outs.
Why don't we plan on at least one of each and then see what we get? What
like
if
that.
anything really falls, then we got to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't have any injured players to start the year on our team. Again, we're feeling real strong at tight end. We feel great at quarterback. Like this isn't the high T running back drafters isn't going to love this four, but I really like the potential of this four to
Yeah,
go
I think
with
it's solid.
our wide receiver combo. We got a little inner division stack there. The Jets play the Seahawks week 17, man. That could be a game that even if the Jets are bad, they give us a good game at low ownership too.
Yeah, there's a running back still on the board. I'm pretty sure. Can you show me the board that I like a lot?
Okay,
Um,
there's one guy I like as well.
let's see what we get.
I'll show you the wide receivers too. If your running back goes, I say we grab my wide receiver, but we'll
Okay.
see how
I
it goes. And
doubt my
you could,
running back will go. I think we can wait on him. There's a private chat, right? I'll send you
there is
my.
a private chat. Drop it in the private chat.
I think he'll be there.
I think he will too. So I say we just add McKenzie, and we've locked up all of this. Whoever is slot, we're getting those points.
Right.
And that with us doing that, I would say maybe we just do one more running back and a wide receiver, but really depends. I also there's plenty of other running backs I like. Like I would have really, I don't think we'll get Jamal Williams now, but I would have liked him in the slot. Like that's what I usually would probably do because I'm comfortable with those five. It gives us some mini correlation with Chark, and he's a handcuff for Swift.
Right.
And he's a hashtag good guy if you've ever seen his press conferences. Who is this guy who made a Gabe Davis YouTube account? Love that you found my channel. Must know, is that your actual name or are you just doing that because I had 60% Gabriel Davis, Gabriel Davis said that his mom wants him called Gabriel, but the team even is now calling him Gabe. So he must be having maybe he's breaking out from mother's reach there.
That's an interesting storyline to follow.
How is your team ranking the Bucks tight ends? Are you guys ranking Gronk? Is he retired to your squad? Are you guys Kyle Rudolph guys? Cameron Brate, Cade Otton, the rookie? How's it sorting out there?
I don't even think we have a single Bucks tight end like anywhere worth picking.
That's not really how I'm playing the Bucks either. Like I'm preferring to play them through the wide receivers and the running backs and Brady.
Right.
And like I still like if I'm not convinced Gronk's done. I am not.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with that situation. I just don't
got a
think
lot of Gronk from earlier, so
this is where it's like, for me, like this is where I think people mess up drafting well before the season starts, is that they're reaching below the end of the rounds. Like if you're taking a guy whose ADP is 16, great. If he rises a lot, you're getting additional like ADP value.
Real
But if
quick
you're
around the
taking
clock here. We need a
is my
running
guy
back.
still there?
Your guy is gone.
Oh.
I like Foreman plenty. The handcuff, arguably to CMC. Zamir White was a high draft pick.
Yeah, we have Zamir White on our board.
What about Dearness Johnson?
We've got White at 174, but we also have McKissick at
we're not doing McKissick with us having
true.
us having Antonio.
I like White.
All right, let's go have White. And
we've got Foreman and White within one spot of each other. They're like,
what about how are you guys playing Derrick Henry's backup?
I don't think we are trying to play it. Yeah.
White also is nice because it adds to our San Francisco Raiders stack. The field is in line with you guys. The Derrick Henry's backups largely go undrafted. I draft Hilliard and Haskins. I'm convinced one will have a good season. I kind of, with us having White, I kind of would prefer to go sixth running back, but we got a lot of Bills pieces, so which I mean, good team to have a lot of pieces from.
Yeah.
This is a
So
really
what
nice
I was
team. We
gonna
got
say, which I think is like helpful for people like listening to the stream, like you probably already know this, but like there's not a lot of value to drafting a guy who's ranked like 250 at this point. He would have to rise so much just to be a 17th round pick later on. And at that point, you're still not getting any extra value. You're just getting a 17th round pick in the 17th round.
well, the only
So
nice thing about it is if you're getting a player that ends up undrafted for the whole season,
for the
and then
whole
they become
thing in the
then they become productive.
final week leading up
Yeah,
to the season, now it's really worth taking a guy who was never getting drafted. Now
yeah.
it's worth taking those shots. Don't do it now, a month before the season starts, because if you're right, most likely everyone will figure out that you're right like a week or two
We're
before the
on the
season.
clock here. Zay Jones is actually getting. I think we should probably take Zay,
Snag him, yeah.
unless you like one of the running backs better.
Now let's go with Zay. We don't need another running back.
Zay is getting buzz as the deep threat for like I've been drafting Zay all season, so he's getting buzz as the deep threat for Trevor Lawrence. It's a bet
We
against.
loved we loved Zay Jones last year.
Yeah, he's a bet against 32-year-old Marvin Jones, and it's not really clear who the wide receiver 2 is for the Jaguars. So I like Zay a lot, especially in the 18th round. We it would have been nice to have another running back, but what does that like? Gibson should be such a strong running back that we got so late that between these 4 dudes, we're gonna get some weeks. We ended up with a lot of week 17 correlation, which is pretty nice, or at least a lot of stacks. So we got Wilson stacked up with 2 of his pass catchers. We got Josh Allen stacked up with 4 of his pass catchers, if you include Cook. We have the Raiders and 49ers game stacked up with 4 players. We have Green Bay and Minnesota correlation. So the only players that don't have week 17 correlation or aren't stacked with our quarterback are Zay Jones, DJ Chark, CEH, and Gibson. So pretty strong team. I like it. I like it a lot. How are you feeling about your first?
I think that was a good draft. I enjoyed it. It's good to see how many guys are falling below our rankings. That's always
We're gonna
inspiring to
name
see.
this, but we're of course giving you 50% equity in this
Thank you, thank you.
for free. Don't worry. If you guys were in the stream with us or in this draft with us, let us know. We'll take a look at your team real quick before we wrap this up for the day. And sorry, what's your finish up your thoughts there? I cut you off a bunch, but
Oh, it's okay. No, I was just gonna say that like you don't want to take a guy that is off the draft boards like over a month before the season, but in that last week, it's all of a sudden super valuable. Just like you were saying, like last year, that was KJ Osborne for me. As I was like, okay, we're like a week before the season. This guy is just starting to get to like he's picked in a few drafts, which means that and 90% of the contest was full, right? And he was never getting picked before. So I was like, at most, his total exposure across everyone's contest is like 10%. So he's probably going to be like 1% owned in the final. So I max enter a week before and get KJ Osborne on every team. So I'm in the final and KJ Osborne is 1% owned and it's just like all of my teams. So
I think that makes a lot of sense in general. Like we want to be waiting later. However, I think there's some players we can predict will not be like, for example, last year, once Jeff Wilson got injured, I started drafting a lot of him with my last round pick, knowing that he wasn't going to be back in time to be drafted. And he's still a great, a player on a good team.
Yeah. As long as you can predict that they're not going to rise, but like, you don't get a lot of extra benefit by being early on a guy who's rising.
Well, but the whole contexture of the team is different. We can't view it as an individual player because if the rest of your team now is third round
different
picks,
ADPs and stuff.
Yeah, so it's like it's such a complicated game because it's
true.
like
Yeah,
it's the whole roster we have to assess, not an individual riser or faller.
right.
I like this team a lot, super strong. You don't have to twist my arm. I'm a Bills fan too. Build a Bills super stack.
I'm gonna have a lot of Allen this year for sure.
Hey, baby. Justin, thanks so much for coming on. Tell the people where they can, you kind of touted it, but let the people know what you got going on at DFI Takeover and what they can expect from
if you search your app store for DFI, you can download our app. And if you're new app download, you'll get 6 weeks for free of everything that we have, which the timing works out pretty well, because if you do it now, you're basically going to get all of our draft rankings for free leading up to the season. And you get a lot of baseball bets and stuff, and golf this week. I'm in the DraftKings final, so it's a big week for golf. So yeah, just download our app, check it out, and leave it 5 stars if you would be great.
All right, guys, along with doing that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If for some reason you're not an Underdog Fantasy, promo code Chesley and we'll get you set up there. And most importantly, have a great day. Peace.